James and the Giant Peach, Chapter 25. James didn't want the earthworm and the centipede to get into another argument, so he quickly said to the earthworm, "Tell me, do you play any kind of music?" "No, but I do other things, some of which are really quite extraordinary," said the earthworm, brightening. "Such as what?" asked James. "Well," the earthworm said, "next time you stand in a field or in a garden and look around you, just remember this: that every grain of soil upon the surface of the land, every tiny little bit of soil that you can see, has actually passed through the body of an earthworm during the last few years. Isn't that wonderful?" "It's not possible," said James. "My dear boy, it's a fact." "You mean you actually swallow soil?" "Like mad," the earthworm said proudly. "In one end and out the other." "But what's the point?" "What do you mean, what's the point?" "Why do you do it?" "We do it for the farmers. It makes the soil nice and light and crumbly so that the things will grow in well. If you really want to know, the farmers couldn't do it without us. We are essential. We are vital. So it is only natural that the farmer should love us. He loves us even more, I believe, than he loves the ladybug." "The ladybug," said James, turning her back to her. "Do they love you too?" "I am told that they do," the ladybug answered modestly, blushing all over. "In fact, I understand that in some places the farmers love us so much that they go out and buy live ladybugs by the sackful and take them home and set them free in their fields. They are very pleased when they have lots of ladybugs in their fields." "But why?" James asked. "Because we gobble up all the nasty little insects that are gobbling up the farmers' crops. It helps enormously, and we ourselves don't charge a penny for our services." "I think you're wonderful," James told her. "Can I ask you one more special question?" "Please do." "Well, is it really true that I can tell how old a ladybug is by counting her spots?" "Oh, no, that's just a children's story," the ladybug said. "We never change our spots. Some of us, of course, are born with more spots than others, but we have never changed them. The number of spots that a ladybug has is simply a way of showing which branch of the family she belongs to. I, for example, as you can see for yourself, am a 9-spotted ladybug. I am very lucky. It is a fine thing to be." "It is indeed," said James, gazing at the beautiful scarlet shell with the 9 black spots on it. "On the other hand," the ladybug went on, "some of my less fortunate relatives have no more than 2 spots altogether on their shells. Can you imagine that? They are called 2-spotted ladybugs, and very common and ill-mannered they are, I regret to say. And then, of course, you have the 5-spotted ladybugs as well. They are much nicer than the 2-spotted ones, although I myself find them in a trifle too saucy for my taste." "But they are all of them loved?" said James. "Yes," said the ladybug, "they are all loved." "It seems that almost everyone around here is loved," said James. "How nice is this?" "Not me!" cried the centipede happily. "I am a pest, and I'm proud of it. Oh, I am such a shocking, dreadful pest." "Hear, hear!" the earthworm said. "But what about you, Miss Spider?" asked James. "Aren't you also much loved in the world?" "Alas, no," Miss Spider answered, sighing long and loud. "I am not loved at all, and yet I do nothing but good. All day long I catch flies and mosquitoes in my webs. I am a decent person." "I know you are," said James. "It is very unfair the way we spiders are treated," Miss Spider went on. "Why, only last week your horrible Aunt Sponge flushed my poor dear father down the plug hole in the bathtub." "Oh, how awful!" cried James. "I watched the whole thing from a corner up in the ceiling," Miss Spider murmured. "It was ghastly. We never saw him again." A large tear rolled down her cheek and fell with a splash on the floor. "But it is not very unlucky to kill a spider?" James inquired, looking around at the others. "Of course it's unlucky to kill a spider," shouted Centipede. It's about the unluckiest thing anyone can do. Look what happened to Aunt Sponge after she'd done that. Bump! We all felt it, didn't we, as the peach went over her? Oh, what a lovely bump that must have been for you, Miss Spider. It was very satisfactory, Miss Spider answered. Will you sing us a song about it, please? So the centipede did. Aunt Sponge was terrifically fat and tremendously flabby at that. Her tummy and waist were as soggy as paste. It was worse on the place where she sat. So she said, I must make myself flat. I must make myself as sleek as a cat. I shall do without dinner to make myself thinner. But along come the peach, oh, the beautiful peach, and made her far thinner than that. That was very nice, Miss Spider said. Now sing one about Aunt Spiker. With pleasure, the centipede answered, grinning. Aunt Spiker was as thin as a wire, and as dry as a bone, only drier. She was so long and thin, if you carried her in, you could use her for poking the fire. I must do something quickly, she frowned. I want fat. I want pound upon pound. I must eat lots and lots of marshmallows and chocks, till I start bulging out all around. Ah, yes, she announced. I have sworn that I'll alter my figure by dawn, cried the peach with a snigger. I'll alter your figure. And ironed her out on the lawn. Everybody clapped and called out for more songs from the centipede, who at once launched into his favorite song of all. Once upon a time when pigs were swine, and monkeys chewed tobacco, and hens took snuff to make themselves tough, and the ducks said quack, quack, quacko, and the porcupines drank fiery wines, and the goats ate tapioca, and old Mother Hubbard got stuck in the— Look out, centipede! Cried James. Look out! Chapter 26. The centipede, who had begun dancing wildly around the deck during the song, had suddenly gone too close to the downward curving edge of the peach, and for 3 awful seconds he had stood teetering on the brink, swinging his legs frantically in circles in an effort to stop himself from falling overboard into space. But before anyone could reach him, down he went. He gave a shriek of terror as he fell, and the others, rushing to the side and peering over, saw his poor long body tumbling over and over through the air, getting smaller and smaller until it was out of sight. Silkworm! Yelled James. Quick! Start spinning! The silkworm sighed, and she was still very tired from spinning all that silk for the seagulls, but she did as she was told. I'm going down after him, cried James, grabbing the silk string as it started coming out of the silkworm and tying the end of it around his waist. The rest of you hold on to Silkworm so I don't pull her over with me, and later on, if you feel 3 tugs on the string, and start hauling me up again. He jumped, and he went tumbling down after the centipede. Down, 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 toward the sea below, but you can imagine how quickly the silkworm had to spin to keep up with the speed of his fall. We'll never see any of them again, cried the ladybug. Oh dear, just when we were all so happy too. Miss Spider, the glowworm, and the ladybug all began to cry. So did the earthworm. I don't care a bit about the centipede, Earthworm sobbed, but I really did love that little boy. Very softly, the old green grasshopper started to play the funeral march on his violin, and by the time he had finished, everyone, including himself, was in a flood of tears. Suddenly, there came 3 sharp tugs on the rope. Pull! The old green grasshopper shouted. Everyone, get behind me and pull. There was about a mile of string to be hauled in, but they all worked like mad, and in the end, over the side of the peach, there appeared a dripping wet James with a dripping wet centipede clinging to him tightly with all 42 of his legs. He saved me, gasped the centipede. He swam around in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean until he found me. Oh, my dear boy, the green grasshopper said, patting James on the back. I do congratulate you. My boots, cried the centipede. Just look at my precious boots. They are ruined by the water. Be quiet, the earthworm said. You are lucky to be alive. Are we still going up and up? Asked James. We certainly are, answered the old green grasshopper, and it's beginning to get dark. I know, it soon will be night. Why don't we all go down below and keep warm until the morning? Miss Spider suggested. No, the old green grasshopper said. I think that would be very unwise. It will be safer if we all stay up here throughout the night and keep watch. Then, if anything happens, we shall be ready for it. Chapter 27. James Henry Trotter and his companions crouched close together on top of the peach as the night began closing in around them. Clouds like mountains towered high above their heads on all sides, mysterious, menacing, overwhelming. Gradually it grew darker and darker, and then a pale three-quarter moon came up over the tops of the clouds and cast an eerie light over the whole scene. The giant peach swayed gently from side to side as it floated along, and the hundreds of silky white strings were going upward from its stem were beautiful in the moonlight. So was the great flock of seagulls overhead. There was not a sound anywhere. Traveling upon the peach was not in the least like traveling in an airplane. The airplane comes clattering and roaring through the sky, and whatever might be lurking secretly up there in the great cloud mountains goes running for cover as its approach. That is why people who travel in airplanes never see anything. But the peach, yes, the peach. The peach was a soft, stealthy traveler, making no noise at all as it floated along. And several times during that long, silent night ride up high above the middle of the ocean in the moonlight, James and his friends saw things that no one had ever seen before. Once, as they drifted silently past a massive white cloud, they saw on top of it a group of strange, tall, wispy-looking things that were about twice the height of ordinary men. They were not easy to see at all, at first, because they were almost as white as the cloud itself. But as the peach sailed closer, it became obvious that these things were actually living creatures. Tall, wispy, wrath-like, shadowy white creatures who looked as though they were made out of a mixture of cotton wool and candy floss and thin white hairs. Ooh, the ladybug said. I don't like this at all. Shh, James whispered back. Don't let them hear you. They must be cloudmen. Cloudmen, they murmured, huddling close together for comfort. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm glad I'm blind and can't see them, the earthworm said. I would probably scream. I hope they don't turn around and see us, Miss Spider stammered. Do you think they would eat us? The earthworm asked. They would eat you, the centipede answered, grinning. They would cut you up like a salami and eat you in thin slices. The poor earthworm began to quiver all over with fright. But what are they doing? The old green grasshopper whispered. I don't know, James answered softly. Let's watch and see. The cloudmen were all standing in a group, and they were doing something peculiar with their hands. First, they would reach out, all of them at once, and grab handfuls of cloud, and then they would roll those handfuls of cloud in their fingers until they turned into what looked like large white marbles. Then they would toss the marbles to one side and quickly grab more bits of cloud and start over again. It was all very silent and mysterious. The pile of marbles beside them kept growing larger and larger, and soon there was a truckload of them there at last. They must be absolutely mad, the centipede said. There's nothing to be afraid of here. Be quiet, you pest, the earthworm whispered. We shall all be eaten if they see us.